right, and we're live, everybody. We are back. Fourth Friday of this. We have Thomas in the background. Hold on, Thomas, a second. Let me just get you in the mix. Thomas, are you there?
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
All right, hold on. Let
Welcome
me put
back
you
to
on the.
Bitwig Basics.
Let me put you in the view here. Yeah, welcome back, everybody, to Bitwig Basics. I'm here. My name is Abe Duque. I am an instructor at 343 Labs, and I guess one of your streaming people here at 343 TV. Thomas is my counterpart, guy in the background, keeping everything going. He's the fire beneath the flame, if you will.
Yeah,
We are here every Friday. Well, actually, 343 TV is here every day from Monday to through Saturday, I believe, or Sunday as well. We do reruns on Sundays at 1 p.m.
right.
Is that right? Is that right,
Yep.
Thomas?
So occasional we'll have another show at 7 or something. The interviews with TAETRO, which are cool, but we're doing educational stuff every day at 1.
That's right. 1 o'clock, and we have. Let's run down the shows. Let's get you in here early, doing your thing. Go ahead, run down the every show every day.
Got it. So we've got tips and tricks on Mondays with dolltr, aka Claire Lim, which is an Ableton-oriented show. It's been really popular and fun. We got Techno Tuesdays with John Selway, self-explanatory show about techno. On Wednesdays, we've got Stuck in the House with Lewis Beck, which has been a really fun show as well, focusing on house production. Thursdays, we got Theory Thursdays with the one and only Max Wild. And then we also have on Thursday nights TAETRO Talks, which is an interview series with TAETRO, our creative director here at 343 Labs. Fridays, we got this show, Bitwig Basics with Abe. And then Saturdays, we have what we call the Saturday Showcase, which is features performances from all different instructors and community members here at the school. And as Abe mentioned before, we got the recaps going on Sundays.
Right, and I hear some things are going to be coming down the pipeline that, well, some things might change a little bit, some things might stay the same. Sundays, there's some rumor about something happening with Sundays. Not sure if we should talk about anything yet, but lots of stuff happening here at 343 TV.
Definitely.
And here we are Fridays. Today our show is called Bitwig Basics. And again, I'm Abe Duque. I am a Bitwig certified trainer. One of the two that we have at our school, Claire is the second one, and she's amazing. She's certified at every single piece of software on the internet. Actually, Claire is amazing. She's one to keep up with for sure. Let's see. Let's look into the chat. I see Chroma Beats is back again. I see Andrew Duke there again. I see Josh from Colorado is there, from Boulder Voice Lessons. He's there. Max Wild, of course, couldn't be a stream without Max trolling us in the chat. Yeah, get your questions going. We'll be monitoring these questions. We'll be monitoring your comments. We'll just talk about anything really that's pertaining to the subject matter. And today we're going to continue with a little bit of talk about Bitwig. Now I have that session that we have had since the first day. Here I haven't really even listened to what we got going on. I know that we're running out of time last time, and let's see. Let's go to the arrange page here. Let's hold on a second. Just grabbing something over here. Do. Here we go. So here we have our arrangement. Well, hasty arrangement, if you will. Let's just listen to what we have just to refresh our memories. So here we go. Wow, that's pretty techno. Well, that kind of jumped in. A little bit of a glitch, I guess. Let's lower that a little bit so I don't have to compete with it. Okay, pretty nuts the stuff that's going on here. Let's get back to our mix view here. And let's just, again, recap of what we have in each track and how we're making things happening here. Let's see, we have a poly synth here doing this. And we're actually not even using that right now. Did we even put that into the... Yeah, we didn't even drop that in there. We can drop that in there at one point. The poly synth, of course, very, very amazing synth. Doesn't look like much at a glance, but when you start to really realize how efficient the layout is, you're really knocks your socks off. Of course, we have some modulation happening here. You know that modulation is what Bitwig is really all about. Well, not really, but it is one of the top things on the priority list for Bitwig. And we have some an LFO and some randomizer action happening here. Let's see what we have in the next track. Let's go here. This is our kick. This is our crazy kick. And how did we get that going? Well, we use this amp device, and I guess we added a reverb into this effect section here. Is that what we did? Yeah, we had so let's turn off the amp device. We have this reverb that went after this distortion device. So let's kind of refresh everybody's memory as to what it sounded like before. And that distortion, quite lovely.
Hey, Abe.
Yes?
Could you show what's going on in Bitwig, please?
Oh, here we go. I already did that in the early part of the show. Look at that.
No worries.
What would I do without you? I always say that. So let's see. Bitwig and Abe. Are we there? Okay, so we're looking at these parts here, and right now I have a chain of sounds on my kick drum, and just showing you that kick drum generator is going into the distortion, making it a bit techno already. And then this is going into a reverb, which there was no particular reason for me doing that except that I'm just experimenting. And then I threw that into that amp, and that made it super crazy. And then a little bit of that boost with that new EQ Plus, which is a super nice EQ. One of the nicest EQs I've ever played with, actually, going on in there. Let's go to the next sound. Let's see what we have in the next sound. We have a tom part, and that went through. Let's see. Let's turn off all the devices, making that happen. So that's that. I think it might have a reverb in here. So let's turn off that reverb. Remember, there's like two places to drop effects in a chain. So basically, they're the same sort of signal flow, but in this little area here, this nesting area here for effects, I can have whatever effect I want to have, and that's basically going to go into the device. And when I save the device, if I choose to save this device, it'll come with this this effect or a whole effect chain. I could actually drop the whole effect chain in that, so that all you really see in the end is just like this kick generator. But I just wanted to show you guys how you can have different places. So if I close this up or collapse it, you'll see it goes back into its nesting cubby hole there. And I had a little bit of left-right going on here, and then I compressed it there. I think then I added dynamics to it, which is Bitwig's way of doing sidechain compression or sidechain action. So, and it's amazing because you can do, right now we're doing the high part, so the loud sounds get pushed down, but we could do the low threshold as well, so that we could do the opposite. So we could have two actual triggers on the low side and the high side to make the sidechain just that much more interesting. It's pretty amazing take on the whole sidechain situation. I remember when I first got Bitwig, I was really confused as to where to do sidechaining, because I went directly to the compressor thinking, oh yeah, that's where I'm going to find the sidechain, and I couldn't find the sidechain in there. And I was like, where is it? What? Bitwig doesn't do sidechain compression? That's kind of lame. Sorry about that. But what you have to do is basically use the dynamics device, which is totally dedicated towards that action, to anything to do with sidechaining, which is okay by me now that I know that it's there. All right, let's keep on going. So we had some hi-hats going on here. So these hi-hats started out, and let me just take away all the devices that made up this hi-hat and go straight to just the first e-hat creator. This is a little module that you get for creating hi-hats in Bitwig. Lots of little nice cool parameters on there. But then I added a comb filter. Comb filtering is really nice. And then I added a frequency shifter and then a rotary. So it kind of just does this kind of side-to-side action and flanging. So it does the side-to-side action with some flanging. And then once again, the dynamics sidechain action going on in there. Let's see, what do we have here? Did we even use this? Yeah, we had that. We just had a straight up polysynth with a dynamics, making it do its thing. And do we have any effects in there? No, don't nested effects. Note effects. And that's giving us that kind of low end. Let's try that. I was wondering if I move that. Let's move that to another note. I like G notes. Low G notes are really good for. Let's see, where are we? Let's try that note instead. G notes do well in mixes, or at least in rooms. They always cut through that, and maybe I did a really low one now. That's a little too low. Let's go back to there. And let's see what this thing is. This Berlin's firework thing. Oh, that was my chicken scratch last week. Remember, I picked a random drum machine that was already curated, and I just played some stuff at random and quantized it, and then ran it through some effects to get some fun stuff going on. So that's what it sounded like before. Kind of interesting, but with some distortion, which if you're making techno, you should use distortion. So that's where we are so far. And well, in the meantime, let's talk to Thomas and see what's going on in the chat. Thomas, are you still around?
Hey, yes, I am. And that's some interesting stuff you're going over there. It looks like we have some new people join in. Don't forget to join the giveaway for anybody that's just popped into the stream. We've got Derillium5459, who was one of the giveaway winners yesterday. TWD Industries, who's been around for a lot of these streams. So we appreciate you guys tuning back in. I don't think there's too many specific questions yet. Somebody mentioned that they like to listen to these when they go on walks and catch up on Bitwig, and they love the polysynths, so keep up the good work. That's a pretty nice comment in there.
Actually, we do have to talk about something, Thomas.
What's that?
We have a giveaway we didn't mention today.
Oh, yes.
We have the big one.
So,
this is the big one.
So the giveaway today is going to be for a full Bitwig Studio license. So in the previous streams, we've been giving away a few 8-track licenses, which is a really fun way to kind of get introduced to the program and get experimenting with it. But the lucky winner of today's giveaway is going to be taking away the full version of Bitwig. They'll be able to use for free, pretty much indefinitely, I'm sure.
How do you, just out of curiosity, how do you choose these winners? Do you just write all the names in a hat and just put your finger in there and then grab something, or Do you
So
have a randomizer, random
yeah,
generator?
I would say it's a bit of a digital version of what you just described. So we use like a random number generator and just put all the names in there, and that lucky person comes out. And we've been really had the pleasure of having some cool sponsors throughout the series, and with Bitwig being a big fan of the show, they've been giving away these licenses. So hopefully somebody out there will really benefit from taking this home and be able to go back and review all the stuff you shared with them and kind of put it into action.
And let me just remind you now, if we haven't said this yet, but let's say it now, please subscribe to the channel. Please subscribe to the
Hmm.
channel. We're trying to build this channel up. We're trying to get it to a place where we have some, I don't know, we're trying to make Max happy, basically. That's all.
Yeah, a bit of that. And if you guys want to continue seeing 343 TV, please let us know. We're in the process of kind of rearranging some things and maybe restructuring it a bit, but we definitely are focused on keeping it running. But we'd love to hear, your thoughts on that, and if there's any other topics or, whether it's Bitwig related or not that you want to see covered going forward, please let us know.
Okay, so let's get back to the Bitwig, and let's just go ahead and directly go to the right screen so that I don't make the same mistake again. All right, let me today being today was supposed to be the fourth in a four-part series of Bitwig Basics. I don't know, maybe we're going to keep going with Bitwig Basics. I'm not sure, but today I was saving today for one thing that I really haven't talked about at all in Bitwig, and now there's actually a lot of things I haven't talked about because it's a vast program, but the one thing I'm talking about is the grid. The grid is, well, it's quite amazing. Uh, the idea behind grid is actually the first idea that Bitwig was sort of based on. So when I went to visit Bitwig, I don't know, a few years ago, 3, 4, 5 years ago, they told me about what the whole plan for building the software was. So they went and first built this modular development tool, kind of like what you might think of when you think of Reactor, if you know Reactor, where you can have all these components and then take these components and just kind of put them together and patch them together and create this kind of big spaghetti situation where now you can make a device and you can build out anything really with it. And they wanted to make it so modular that anything could actually be done with it. That you weren't at the mercy of having to design new things from scratch every time, because you could always use that as a platform to build what you're trying to accomplish. And I guess one of the reasons Bitwig keeps on chugging away with all the new devices that keep on coming and all these updates is because already it's a good foundation for building these devices since they came up with this modular development tool. And they promised in the beginning that the modular development tool would be available soon. And I thought when it first came out, I was a little disappointed that Bitwig 1 didn't have the modular development tool. And it was because I guess it would have been a little too confusing to have it all kind of laid out here. Now you can go behind the magic and see how the sausage is made and make your own sausage even. That would have been a little too kind of maybe changing from the focus of what having this DAW that's been really nicely put together would have been. But as a Bitwig 3, they developed a way to like integrate that whole modular development system into for the user to use. And for those of you that like modular in like like I have a lot of modular gear, then you really like the way that Bitwig takes that sort of approach towards it. So without further ado, let me just get something like in the grid going. So again, just look for, there's two types of grid. There's the effects grid and there's the poly grid. The poly grid would be more about making some sounds like synth style. And the effects grid, well, it's all about creating effects. There was to be a third at one point. I don't know what the story is, some sort of MIDI grid, but I guess they just decided to stick on the two. Let's just look at the at the polygrid for today. So this is, I've just grabbed the default polygrid setup in here, and what you get is this little device, and when I click on this, I'll get into the world of what we're talking about here, the modular world. So right here to start with, we get a basic oscillator, and we have an envelope generator, and then we have something to be able to hear it. So if I play it on my keyboard, I should be able to trigger some sound from this guy. And don't know why I can't trigger the sound yet. Maybe I have it muted. Hold on, let me go to this. Yeah, I have solo happening here. So let's put solo just on this track now. And I can just now play it with my little setup here. Okay, so I have this this oscillator. Right now it's a triangle. And I could treat this already just like a synth, and I don't even have to go to this inside of the sausage making factory, let's say. I can go just and use this as a device, write MIDI with it, put it in my track and be good with it. But as it stands right now, we want to kind of demo the rest of the stuff, the sausage factory. So we have a triangle, we have a waveform and envelope, and a way to listen or hear the audio come out of it. So I'm going to erase it all so we can start from the beginning, from scratch. So let's go to get an oscillator. Here's a list of oscillators that we can choose from, including a sampler, a swarm oscillator, which is really nice. Let's grab a pulse oscillator and we throw that in there, and I'm going to go try to play it, and it's not going to play. The reason it's not playing, it's basically because I need an output device. So I'll go here and I'll add an audio device. Now, when an audio out, I can grab that there, and if I just throw it over here, nothing will happen. I won't be able to hear anything. I'll need to patch it. Now I can go and patch it directly here now. That was pretty loud. Let's get that level down and do that again. So we have patched it. Now let me do that again in a better way, which is just come right here and drop it right in there, and it patches it directly to where it needs to be patched. Okay, so right now it's just a free floating oscillator, an oscillator that just keeps on going. It doesn't do anything but just oscillate that waveform. But we need to kind of use it like a synthesizer. So I'm going to want to use an envelope generator. So we have oscillators, we have filters, we have display, random, shaper, pitch, phase, LFO, delay, envelope. Here we go to our envelopes, and we have different types of envelopes here. We have an ADSR, an AD for like a percussive envelope, an AR, a pluck. We have different types of styles. Let's just drop an ADSR. Now, where are we going to want to put that? We're going to want to put it between these guys here. So let me grab that. And now that we have that there, we have an ADSR that's between that. When that's the case, then it's not free-flowing anymore. The sound is now behaving like a synthesizer. Now I can play it, and I can have a situation where I can use this now as a way to trigger my sounds over time, the way that I want the oscillator to present. There's something called pre-chords, which is interesting. When you drop one of these devices in here, you get these icons on the bottom. These are things that are already kind of patched to the device, because it kind of assumes that you might want to have it. For example, this oscillator is patched to this keyboard, so it knows that I might want to play the notes with that. And this ADSR is already patched in a way that I can have the gate work from my keyboard playing here. This will trigger a gate, open the gate. I can disable that, and then we have another situation. But this is actually how I want it right now. So we have a nice little setup there, really nice. So that's interesting. I can play maybe apart with that and change the sound, do whatever I want with that. However, you need more than that to create a synthesizer. We're gonna need something, maybe, I don't know, maybe like a filter. A filter would be nice. So let's go to our choice of filters here. We have lots of choices here. We have a couple of different types of low pass, a straight variant filter. We have even a comb filter here to choose from. So let's just take a regular low pass ladder type, transistor ladder type filter. And again, if I want to put it between, let's say, this and the output, I'll just drop it right there, and it'll appear just right between those two right there as they are. So now I have this ladder filter, which I can control this way, and resonance over here. And lots of fun can ensue. So yeah, we're gonna keep going with this, and I'm going to show you a little more about what you can do in the grid. However, they have over 140 devices, more like 150, I think, available to you. Lucky for us, they do give you tons and tons and tons of like preset setups with Grid to kind of get you started on what might be an interesting thing to use, and then maybe give you ideas for creating your own setups. Let's though go back to Thomas and see what's going on in the chat, and let's get Thomas. Thomas, are you there?
Hey, going on? So we still got some good comments coming in the chat. Somebody mentioned that this looks like a more user-friendly version of classic Reactor. And I was actually watching your tutorial on the grid that we did on our 343 Labs YouTube page, and I noticed you talked about that a bit, and how Reactor, that part of Reactor isn't super popular, and how maybe Bitwig being more user-friendly is more appealing. Would you say that?
Yeah, I mean, Reactor is super powerful. However, you do need a bit of a PhD in Reactor to really fly with Reactor. A lot of these, the way that they let us set this up is super friendly and super intuitive. Once you understand certain rules about how things work, then you can just keep on going with this stuff.
Gotcha. And another question that I had personally was, how does working in this space in the grid kind of translate to modular synthesis in the hardware form? As you can see probably on these streams, Abe has quite a collection of hardware modular synths going on. But I was just kind of curious, do you ever kind of think about how those tie into each other, or get inspired from one or the other?
Totally. So the thing is, the thing about modular that anybody that's into modular will tell you that is appealing is that you're allowed to really go for an adventure with wires and plug things in that maybe aren't meant to be plugged into each other. Mistakes are welcome, and when mistakes sometimes yield very powerful results with like happy accidents and things you would have never even thought about doing. It's quite fun that way. So anything can be plugged into anything in the modular world, and the same thing happens in this setup in Grid. You can have almost anything plugging into anything. They do have a convention with like coloring, whereas certain things are colored in different ways, like the logic stuff. The logic stuff is just basically going to be like clock dividers and triggers and multipliers and so on. They're colored yellow, and let's see, the envelopes are colored green mostly. Let's see what else. Some other colors here. The pitch device here, stuff here is colored orange, and it doesn't mean that you can't plug these into other colored stuff, but it kind of keeps you kind of thinking, right, where these things you might want to, it's a sort of a suggestion. Hey, these are red, maybe these are best to plug into each other. These are
Hmm.
blue, maybe these kind of do a certain function and should be kind of thought of as something that could work well with each other. But you can grab whatever cable and put it anywhere, and as long as there's output going into an input, you can do that.
Very, very interesting. And that, along with the fact that there's those kind of presets you were talking about, seems like it would lend itself really well to somebody who is inexperienced with modular, the modular approach.
Totally, totally. And so it's kind of a really nice way of working modularly, uh, and without having to like buy a million devices or whatever. That's the great thing about Bitwig. Bitwig is one program. You get it, you install it, and everything comes in there, including all this grid stuff, and every device in
Hmm.
the grid is there, and everything is just ready for you to like play with and do whatever needs to be done. And if they're going to add something, they're just going to add it. They're not going to be like, and for those that have our special tier, we'll get these and these won't. Sorry. So yeah. All right, we're a little bit past halfway point. Maybe it's about your time to do your little song and dance right now, Thomas. You're
Sure,
midway.
yeah. Yeah, so I guess we'll take like a minute or so to talk about the school really quick. Obviously 343 TV has been going on, but behind the scenes, what we typically are doing is offering a lot of really high quality educational music production classes. So they're taught by people like Abe, who is clearly really experienced, and then we also have a bunch of other super experienced instructors that have, both experience in the music industry as well as teaching these topics. So we do have a couple of courses coming up I wanted to mention that will be starting, in July. The first thing I definitely want to mention is our Ableton Summer Immersive, which is a really cool, pretty extensive program. You can take it in a 4 week or 6 week variant. Um, so those are always really cool. Abe might actually be teaching some of those. And then Abe's got a mixing course starting next month. We have a songwriting course starting next weekend. That's going to be really cool. That's a great course for somebody who is kind of new to the world of music production, or even if they're not and they're kind of curious about learning more about music theory and what goes into writing a good song. That can be a really beneficial course, especially because it's taught in the context of electronic music production and in a DAW, which I think is a really unique approach. But otherwise than that, we have a couple events coming up outside of 343 TV. We have the Ableton user group, which is going to be on July 7th, and that's also a really cool event. But other than that, I think we're just kind of trying to keep it rocking with 343 TV, and we have our Berlin school, which is having a couple open houses, um, and those are actually on July 1st and 2nd. So in case anybody's tuning in from overseas, you can see the details about those on our websites. But otherwise, we're just kind of keeping it moving with these streams and online classes. We are, considering going back and getting the Manhattan School ready, kind of to open back up for classes in person. Obviously, we're going to take all the necessary precautions to do so. But if anybody out there that's interested in that, feel free to reach out to us via email or call us, in regards to all that information. But otherwise, just remind you that we are giving away that Bitwig license for the full version at the end of the stream. I'll drop that link down in the chat right now, and I think we're about ready to dive back into some more Bitwig with Abe.
All right, and remember to subscribe to the channel.
Yes, very
Can't
important.
say that enough. I mean, it's we want to grow this. We want to have 100,000 before the end of the summer. That's what
Yeah,
Max told us. If not, we're in trouble.
exactly.
All right, so let's keep it going. So we were at the creating a sound here. So let's see. We got a sound going on. Let's open the filter a little more. So let's go to let's go to the actual clip here. let's turn some of these guys off, and let me just get the kick drum going. I just want to get that techno kick drum pumping in there. Now I have my polygrid sound. So I'm just gonna create a part here quickly. Just something to have play for me, that way I don't have to. So let's loop the right area here. Let's take maybe just one bar. And that'll give us enough to play with sound-wise. And let's get back in there. So we have our ADSR, attack, decay, sustain, and release. Pretty nice, but let's just say I want to make this a more complex synthesizer. So let's try doing that. Let me take this kick drum out for a second and just have this going again. And let me drop in some more devices. So right now we have a low pass filter that's just sitting outside of here, and maybe we wanted to join the party. Why not? So let's pull this apart a little bit here, and we'll get the connection. Now, any input can only receive one connection, but any output can give out to as many outputs as you want. You could just drive a cable where you want for that. So now I have another input going into another filter. And then let's take that output and take that to, well, let's add another ADSR for the other one. So we'll go to the envelope and we'll do a ADSR, and we'll put that in between those two guys. Oh, put it between the wrong two guys. Let's put it up here. Sorry. Now it's between these two guys. And now I need to get it to the output here. How do I get that into the output? Now the output only has one input. Sorry. Remember that any input can only receive one thing. So I'll need a device to help me do that. And there's a couple of mixers that I can grab. I'll throw this mixer in here. And that is going to allow me to mix in different things. So I can then take the output from here and add another connection here, both with their level control here, mute and solo. So I have that one and that one. And we have panning control here. Anything you need, really. So now I have two filters with two different envelopes. I'll do that for the top and lower that. And this one will be the bottom. Wait, sorry, that wrong one went up. I could have a layered sound going on in there. More plucky. Open that filter. However, I can continue the game and say I don't like that pulse for both. So let's say I wanted to switch that. So I'll go back to the oscillators, look for one that I like. Let's get a sawtooth, drop that in there. And I'll take that sawtooth now and move that and connect it in here instead of the other one. So now the saw is what's generating that second layer. we're starting to have a little bit of fun with the grid. So let's look at the chat. Let's see if I could see anything. Let me just make sure to bring Thomas back in if he has to. Thomas, anything in the chat that I've been missing? I haven't really been paying attention.
We've got some people saying this is awesome. We did just have a question that came in now saying, does the grid have something that allows LFO shaping? Like cut out the first voice and bring it in later? That's from Michael Grauman.
Right. So LFOs, we could do something like that. We could do anything. Let's let's go into the LFOs. LFO is a modulation tool, and basically, when we're talking about modulation tools, we're talking about tools or devices that help us take a parameter for for a ride, let's say on a waveform in the case of LFO, but anything to change the parameter over time in a predictable way, or sometimes in a not predictable way. So let's take there's LFOs, and we could use other things as modulation tools like envelopes and so on, even randomizers. But let's take this LFO and just drop this LFO in here, and now we have a LFO who is ready for action. Now, before I forget, anything that you want to really kind of know what is going on in it, just like in all the regular devices outside of Grid, you have a show help button here that will bring you right to all the parameters, and it'll give you an explanation of what you're looking at and what it's going to do. And as with the other devices as well, what you get is a situation where you can tweak it right from the help page, which is amazing. You can do all your changes right from this help page. That is super cool. Okay, so now we have an LFO there. Now this LFO is doing its thing. It's running musical notes right now, but I can change it to hertz if I want to. And now we're at this rate that we have right here in hertz. Hertz is a cycle per second. Now I'm going to map it to something. So if you'll notice, let's take this filter here. You'll see that this filter has another connection to it. So I'll take the output from this and go right into that. And then I'll add some action there. And that should give me some movement in and I haven't done this in a little bit, so it might take a little bit of tweaking here to figure out what's going on. But I already could hear some action there. So that one is this one here. So I'm going to solve this one. So see, this is already moving according to what the LFO is dictating here. Now I could actually take this LFO and like just do this, and then the LFO will control anything. But that takes the fun away from like actually making a connection happen with a little virtual cable here. But it gives you both choices. I mean, it's an LFO modulation tool. So let's say you want that modulation tool to do it the classic Bitwig way, and turn that on. Anything that turns that kind of blue color can now be modulated the way that classically anything in Bitwig can be. So it's kind of well, why do it that way? Why patch a cable if you could just do it this way? Well, that's true, but if you want to stay to that fun cable patching way, we can just do it this way. So you'll see these extra little patch points here on things. So here you'll have it on this parameter, on the phase modulation, and then on the pitch amount. So if I wanted to modulate the pitch on this, I can do that, and you always have to give it a little bit of an amount, whether it's positive or a negative amount. And let's move that connection somewhere else. Let's do it to this. So that's the phase modulation amount. And just like that, we could do whatever we want, really, whatever we want. So this ADSR has something to kind of change the way that it behaves. Any of these little extra connections that are not like red, because the red is like the audio kind of signal, are going to be able to connect and be able to be used as as a modulation source. So we have LFOs, but we also have envelopes that can be doing some modulation. We have randomizers that can be doing modulations. Here's a sample and hold LFO. Here's a dice. A noise wave. I could use a noise wave as a modulator. I could just drop that in there and make that a modulator. That's all that. Well, there's so many combinations. This is really another world. It's, in a way, you could actually call this a program or a software, an environment into itself. I think Bitwig calls it a modular development environment or sound design environment, modular sound design environment. That's actually the wording they use. One cool thing, I showed you how to do the help thing on individual ones, but if you click anywhere outside of the, in the blank grid point here, you get the parameters that you can do with everything as one, as a batch, like a group to everything. And really cool things can happen in here. You can have, you can increase the number of voices in here. From mono can go all the way up to well, I don't know. Let's test. Let's test how many voices. It'll give us 32 voices, 39 voices. Oh my God. I've never done this before. 64 voices. How about that? Anybody ever try 64 voices of unison? This is going to give Serum a run for its money because one of the coolest things about Serum as a synthesizer is how much unison you can do in Serum. And up until now, I mean, Serum does, I think, 16 voices of unison. And it has this other device that allows for more unison to happen in the effects section. But here, straight out of it, 64 voices. And that's crazy. That's insane. And you could do voice stacking and all sorts of other really cool things. But again, you get to this part of the help or the kind of inspector by clicking on somewhere that isn't an actual device. If I go to this device, then it's going to give me information on this device and what's coming into it and what's coming out. It's really cool the way this is set up. Anyway, I've been rambling for a while. Thomas, how are we doing back there?
We're doing good. Sorry, just making sure that my mic wasn't muted. I'm doing well, and I think we're almost ready to announce the giveaway. Unless you wanted to, hop into anything else. Maybe if we get a couple questions going on in the chat, could be helpful, to end things out. But another thing I did want to mention quick, because this has been coming up on a lot of the streams. If you enter the giveaway multiple times, it does not count towards the next entry. I've been noticing on the last couple of streams, I'm like, seems like we got a lot of entries from this, same person's name. But I do delete those and make sure everybody's getting an equal, chance of winning. So I just wanted to mention that briefly.
Right. Okay. So we have a comment in the chat. It's going to give your CPU a run for its money. Okay. How's it drawing? What's it? TWD Industries says, how draining is the grid on the system? Well, you can imagine that, it is going to be, anything's going to be draining that you like put a lot of, lean on it very hard. So it depends also on your system. So far, Bitwig always runs really, really lean. Right now, we can actually let's let me not make the mistake and go back to the overhead so that we can check the CPU action up here, and I don't know if you see what's going on, and everything's pretty much, let's see, as it runs, we're running the polygrid, and we got this CPU graph here, and I'm working things. Things are not spiking at all. Things are kind of just doing their thing, and it would. So runs really lean is what I'm trying to say. This little DSP performance graph is a super cool thing.
Yeah, it looks sweet.
Yeah. Hello, Gaboo says hello.
Yeah, a little late, I guess, but Still some people joining in. We'll have the rerun of the show up so everybody can check that out.
Is Gabu too late to actually go to get the prize? I mean, I'm not giving him the prize right now. I'm just saying to sign up for the giveaway.
Yeah, he actually unfortunately is. So the giveaway has closed, and the winner has actually been selected.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. Oh, well, why don't we just get you to do that right now, Thomas? Why don't we get you
So
to jump in
while I have
there?
you here, for today's giveaway, as we mentioned before, it's going to be for a full Bitwig Studio license. And today's lucky winner is Lewis Hales, who is actually been in the chat. His name is Say Hollow Tapes.
Say his name
And,
again because my sound effects were a little bit over it.
oh yeah, so the winner is Lewis Hales.
All
So
right.
congratulations to Lewis, and we'll be reaching out via email to grant your license for Bitwig.
That's amazing. That's really amazing. That's great. So we've given away quite a lot of licenses here. I mean, this is the only full license that we've given, but we've given every show we've given away at least two or three in the 8 channel ones, right?
Yep, and even on one of our other interviews, with Dave from Bitwig, we gave away more there. So thanks to Bitwig again for supporting the show and supporting the company. We are, have some talks about actually doing a Bitwig class. So maybe if that's something people are interested in taking with us, please let us know in the chat.
Yeah, that's an important thing too. I mean, part of the reason that we're doing these kind of classes or talks and streams online about this material is just to kind of maybe feel out what you guys would want to have more developed curriculum on a whole class of intro to Bitwig. Kind of the same way we do with the Ableton. Is something we've always had in mind, but we've always needed to have enough demand for you guys to from you guys to actually make it happen. And if they
Mhm.
build it, and they will come. Maybe we'll do that. I don't know.
Definitely.
Yeah. So do let us know. I mean, really, we really want to know if you're interested more in Bitwig, and checking out the possibilities that this program. Again, we've gotten a little bit past the tip of the iceberg here in the last 4 weeks. We've definitely, checked out a lot of the interesting and important parameters and devices and functionalities that the program will give you, but we still have a lot to show, and yeah, and maybe we could also help you write music with it. All right, so let me get back in there just for a little bit. We have just a few minutes left. And yeah, thank you everybody for coming in these last 4 weeks. This has been an interesting experience for me to do this streaming stuff. I mean, I'm no stranger to the camera. I've done a lot of tutorial videos for you guys throughout the years, both with 343 and with Dubspot before that. But those you can kind of mess up and start again, and we often did many times. And with the streaming, you're just kind of there. But you guys will let me know that it feels like a little family now. I see many of you guys coming back in every time, and it's just kind of comforting to see people like Chromo Beats and stuff like that are kind of just seems to be they live on 343 TV, and I'm glad for that. I'm glad for that. So yeah, we're here at in the grid. Today we discussed the poly grid. There's another grid, of course, that's the effect grid. It's a little late to start really going deep into the effects grid, but just wanted to kind of let you know that it's there. But anyway, let me just let me go to the poly grid for a second, one more time, and what I want to do then is maybe pull up some of these devices for you guys to check out. So once again, I just kind of go through these lists, inputs and outputs here. These are all sorts of ways of imagining input and output into the grid. Then we have a number of oscillators, again, with a sampler, which we haven't even gotten to work with yet. The swarm, oh man, we should have played with the swarm today. And of course, pulse, which is square, sawtooth, sine wave, a triangle. A bunch of filters, as we talked about earlier, ways to control level. So attenuators, just the level control altogether, cool stuff. Display stuff, which is really nice. You get an oscilloscope, so I can have this this right in between these guys here, and then play a note in here and have that. Hold on, that might be soloed. So play a note in there and have that kind of show me what it's doing with the oscilloscope as far as waveform, which is really nice to have that. And I can make that as big as I want, kind of giving me more place to do stuff like this with. I mean, really cool stuff. A VU meter, a spectrum device, so I could actually look at it in a way to, well, let's get that. I patched it wrong, but it's basically just a spectrum analyzer, which I can. Oh, I patched it wrong again, the same way, twice. So let me make a little room here to patch it right. So let's drop it in there. So now we have it between the sound. So again, spectrum analyzer. And once again, I could also make it really big if I wanted to, and take advantage of whatever size I need it to be in order to kind of fit my needs, if you will. And so there's that. Lots of cool stuff, randomizers, wave shapers, distortion devices like Chevy Sev, distortion, quantizer, rectifier, saturator, wavefolder, curve. I mean, cool stuff, really cool stuff. Pitch controlling devices, phase controlling devices, LFO, of course, delay. We can add a delay in there. Some math stuff can be taken care of here. So dividers and multipliers and subtractors, some data management for like arpeggiators and step sequencers and stuff of that sort. Envelopes of all sort, mixer possibilities. You remember we used the mixer earlier to like continue to add. And if you have one of these devices thrown in there, every time you continue to, every time you patch something to it. So let's say I patch from here to here, I get a new patch point underneath it. So anything that as soon as I patch something in here, you'll see another one pop up, and I can keep on having 20 things plugged into the one mixer. So it keeps on expanding as you need it to. And then Logic, we talked about a little bit about that earlier. So just a little bit of a rundown, really just a scratching the surface type of situation with all the devices in the polygrid. So I think we're running out of time. Thomas, are you still there? Oh, Thomas is
Yes,
exited.
I'm
Oh,
here.
whoa, there we go.
I had to switch my camera actually. The nicer one died on me, but
Oh
I'm
no,
here. I
just in
think we're
time.
coming to an end. Yeah, right on time.
You
I
know,
saw it blinking for a moment there.
the thing
Getting
is,
close.
you're such a good-looking guy that it doesn't really matter what camera you use.
Oh man,
Yeah.
I appreciate the compliments there. But yeah, thanks everybody for tuning in. It was another fun show with you all, and we'll be having more streams. Tomorrow and Sunday you can catch the recaps, but be sure to obviously check out the website for all those classes we discussed earlier. I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to leave them with.
Oh no, just exactly what you said. Just keep on watching the shows, and maybe we'll see each other next Friday, and talk a little
Yeah,
more about Bitwig.
yeah, we can dive into the effects grid or something.
All right,
All right,
take
bye everybody. Thanks
take
for
care, everybody.
watching.
Bye bye.